Good morning. Welcome to Frank Lloyd Wright's Martin House. My name is Mary Roberts. I serve as Executive Director of this National Historic Landmark and New York State Historic Site. After nearly 20 months, it is a wonderful moment in time today to acknowledge and celebrate the reopening of the U.S. border to Canadian citizens. According to the U.S. Travel Association, more than half of the 20 million people who visited the U.S. from Canada in 2019 traveled by crossing the land border, and the Western New York region received a significant percentage of those visitors. We are excited to welcome Canadian travelers back to the Buffalo-Niagara region, and I couldn't be happier to know that our site will once again be hosting our many friends from the north. The Martin House is widely acknowledged as a masterpiece of design that attracts visitors from all corners of the world with the power of design in harmony with nature. Among our national and international visitors, the Canadian segment represents a significant portion, nearly 15% of our guests each year, and it is a growing market segment for both the Martin House and for our region. This non-essential travel truly is essential to our community's well-being and economic vitality. Our first speaker today will be Congressman Brian Higgins. For many years and for many reasons, Congressman Higgins has been one of the community's most talented, influential, and dedicated public servants. As Congressman for the 26th District, he represents a significant number of businesses in the cultural, tourism, and hospitality industry, including the Martin House and many others. He has advocated long and hard for this day, and as we celebrate the reopening of our border, please join me in welcoming Congressman Higgins.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, everybody, for being here. As Mary said, this is a significant day, a significant announcement at an incredible place here in Buffalo and Western New York. The Martin House is a destination for those all over this world, and including our neighbors in Canada. There are 10 provinces in Canada and 3 territories. 14.5 million people live in the province of Ontario. It is nearly 38% of the entire population of Canada. And this border has been closed, as Mary said, for 20 months to non-essential travelers. And today it opens. At 2 o'clock this morning, there was a 2.5-hour wait on the Peace Bridge. That was reduced to about 38 minutes by 8 o'clock in the morning. And these borders should have been open at the same time, not in August, but 6 months prior to all of this. The truth is that all of us were told for the past 20 months to follow the science, to follow the facts, to follow the data. And it points to one thing: if you're fully vaccinated, you significantly reduce the spread and the severity of COVID. COVID is not going away, so you have to manage it as best you can. Mark Poloncarz has been a great regional leader for the past 20 months in conveying the public health information to keep people safe. But today is a celebration, without question. You know, all the numbers are there. In 2019, 21 million Canadians traveled to the United States and spent $21 billion. Patrick Kaler also provided information from Erie County, the economic impact, $1 billion annually. Every aspect of our life quality and our economies are deeply integrated between the United States and Canada. We are friends. We are trading partners. I was a kid that spent more summers in the Canadian shores of Lake Erie than I did in Buffalo and Western New York. And it's not my story. It's the story of Western New York. Canadians come down and enjoy our ski country. They come and enjoy this great cultural institution here, which is the Darwin Martin House. So I'm pleased to be with all of these elected officials. Our work is not done. Our work is not done. The redundancy of testing, vaccines, it's probably the greatest biomedical advancement in the past 100 years. The messenger RNA technology is the genetic material that tells a cell to make a protein, which is the active ingredient in a vaccine. When researchers went into this, they hoped to achieve a 60% level of efficacy. These are 85, 90, 95%. Canadians can come into the United States, certify that they have been fully vaccinated, but upon their return to Canada, they have to be tested. Vaccines are free, they're widely available. Tests are expensive, inconvenient, and a very unpleasant experience. So our work continues. I was on a call today with some of the mayors from both the United States and Canada, along with business leaders in Canada. I met with Kristen Hillman, the Canadian ambassador to the United States, last week in Washington at the Canadian Embassy. We are pushing aggressively, but based on nothing more than the facts. And the science says that if you are fully vaccinated, the President of the United States has said, this is a pandemic today of the unvaccinated, and those who have done the right thing on behalf of themselves, on behalf of their families, on behalf of their neighbors, immediate and binational, should be able to move freely between the United States and Canada without having to go through this redundant, unnecessary testing. Because in the end, we're all economic actors. When we're confident, we move. When we're not, we don't. And I'm sure that there's a couple today over in Fort Erie, Ontario, that said, you know what, we would love to make that trip to Buffalo today, to go to this beautiful place and visit it on this beautiful day. But there's a pause, there's a reluctance, because they have to be tested upon reentry to Canada. So a day of celebration. We're at a better place than we were over the past 20 months, but we still have a ways to go. But this is a day to be celebrated. I'm pleased to be here with you.
Thank you, Brian. County Executive Mark Poloncarz has also been a tireless champion for our region, particularly during the pandemic. County Executive Poloncarz works every day to ensure that our Erie County government is focused on its core mission, providing programs and services in an efficient and effective way. He has also been a major supporter of the travel and tourism industry, working with Visit Buffalo Niagara and all sectors of the hospitality community to ensure that our county is a welcoming destination for visitors, particularly the thousands of individuals who come here from Canada. Please welcome County Executive Mark Poloncarz.
Thank you, Mary. Good morning. And I just want to note how beautiful the Martin House and the grounds look. So great job by the team here. I am pleased to be here, especially with Congressman Higgins. I want to give him a big shout out for his recent yes vote on the infrastructure bill. How are Canadians going to get to the United States? On our infrastructure, across our bridges, on our roads. So we need to be investing in our infrastructure. It's about time that the federal government finally got an infrastructure bill through. I know you've been working on it for more than a decade now. So thank you for your great support in that. We are here on what is a great day that took longer than it should have, to have our Canadian friends and neighbors and often family members be able to come across the border and enjoy our great community that we have here in Erie County. We know that Canadians shop in our stores, go to our football games, go to the hockey games. When it's ski season, they come down and they ski at Kissing Bridge and Holiday Valley. And it has been a tremendous loss for our community to not be able to have that cross-border traffic so that Canadians can enjoy our great community, and of course Americans can enjoy the great community that is just across the border in southern Ontario. The Congressman's right when we talk about this being a pandemic of the unvaccinated. All we have to do is look at the hospitalization rates now. Hospitalizations have been going up, but approximately 75% of those who are hospitalized are those that are unvaccinated. And they make up about 25% of adults in Erie County. So it's a very small portion of the adults in Erie County who are unvaccinated, but they make up the tremendous proportion of individuals who are actually in the hospital, whether they're just hospitalized, ICU, or on, unfortunately, an airway assist, which just goes to show that if you are vaccinated and you're protected, your odds of spreading the disease to others are very slim. You can catch it, we know you can catch it, but your odds of getting very sick are low. And that's why we ask everybody to go out there to be vaccinated, fully vaccinated. We know it's important and you have to do it if you're an American to go across the border, but that's how we get out of this and get back to what was the normalcy that we remember before. And before, it would be Canadians from Toronto, from Montreal, from Fort Erie, from Niagara Falls, walking on these grounds, seeing this tremendous facility here. It would be people all across our community going up to Southern Ontario, whether it's to get, as many have done through the years, to go right across the border to the great Chinese restaurants they have in Fort Erie, or to spend a wonderful weekend in Toronto. So to our friends in Canada, I want to remind them, you are our friends. You are more than welcome here. We want you to come here. We want to see you again. And I'm very grateful we finally reached this day. It took a lot longer than we hoped to, but it is an example of what we can do when we work together to try to create a better community for all. And when we think about a better community for all in Erie County, it's not just thinking of Erie County itself, it's Western New York and our friends in Southern Ontario. We share so much together, and it's about time that we finally are able to do that in person. So thank you to all who helped make this a reality, including, once again, our congressman who pushed for it for so long. And this is just another example of better and brighter days ahead. Most importantly to all, be safe and well. Thank you.
As board chair of Visit Buffalo Niagara and the Buffalo Niagara Convention Center, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Patrick Kaler. Since coming to Buffalo in 2014, Patrick has been one of our region's strongest voice for the hospitality and tourism industry. As president and CEO, Patrick and his team have worked with great effect to make Buffalo a special destination for visitors from around the country and specifically from Canada. So now, Patrick Kaler.
Thank you, Mary. Today is a great day for us to be able to talk about the reopening of the U.S. and the Canadian border. A great deal of advocacy for the reopening has taken place, and at the forefront of the opening is that we want to ensure that Canadian visitors, Erie County residents, and our hospitality industry's health and safety is of the utmost priority. Visit Buffalo Niagara's advocacy throughout the last 20 months has been through a partnership with the U.S. Travel Association and Brand USA. But enormous thanks truly has to go to Representative Brian Higgins. He has been truly a steadfast advocate for the opening of the Canadian border. Also have to give a big thanks to Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz for making sure that the people of Erie County and our workforce are safe. I think he has done a tremendous job over the last 20 months making sure that the pandemic and COVID was contained in our community and that we are getting back to our normal workforce for our community, especially on the tourism industry. We understand and appreciate the testing challenges that the Canadian government will impose to residents returning from the United States, but know this is going to be an initial impact on the return of Canadians coming to Erie County. We hope that this requirement will be lessened and or eliminated soon. The U.S. Travel Association and Tourism Economics estimates that return to the 2019 levels of Canadian travelers into the United States probably won't return until 2023, 2024. However, because of our proximity to Canada and the large number of people in Southern Ontario and the GTA, we feel that we have a better opportunity to recover a little bit faster. The reopening of the border to land travel from Canada presents the tourism sector with the chance to show our appreciation once again for Canadian visitors and to bring them up to date and remind them of the exciting things that there are to see and do in Buffalo. If you haven't been to Buffalo lately, you haven't been to Buffalo. That's the message that Visit Buffalo Niagara will be sharing north of the border, inviting Canadian travelers to experience what we're calling the other New York City. And that would be a lowercase c on city. Prior to the pandemic, Visit Buffalo Niagara commissioned a Canadian consumer research project that showed that many Southern Ontarians have dated perceptions or know very little about what Buffalo has become. This provides Visit Buffalo Niagara the opportunity to craft a news story that makes a lasting impression and eradicates the tired stereotypes of a city in decline. According to a recent report, younger consumers don't share the same preconceptions that their parents and many of the experiences they are looking for can be found here in Buffalo, which validated the findings of the study that VBN commissioned. Also, prior to the pandemic, Canadians made hundreds of thousands of cross-border trips, both day trips, overnight stays, amounting to nearly $1 billion in annual expenditures and related taxes. That's a big deal, and something that we should never take for granted. So today, Visit Buffalo Niagara is launching another iteration of our Buffalo Loves Canada campaign. With Reunited, It Feels So Good, Buffalo Loves Canada. We have redesigned the Canadian section of the VBN website with travel information and tips, as well as 14 unique overnight packages with hotels around all of Erie County. The campaign will include several different activations and messaging platforms that include, in Southern Ontario, TV commercials, targeted digital advertising, both on YouTube ads, social media, Facebook, and Instagram, as well as advertising on Blog TO, along with an editorial. We also will have digital billboards, social media contests to win a getaway to Buffalo. Extending into Buffalo and Erie County, our activations include billboards on the 290 and 33, visit Buffalo, or, the Buffalo Niagara International Airport and the Walden Galleria. We'll be showcasing a 30-second video of the same messaging that we were putting forth with Reunited. 75 hotels around Erie County will be flying the Buffalo Loves Canada flag, which we have on display here as well. So please join me and the tens of thousands of Erie County employees in the tourism and hospitality sector in saying welcome to our Canadian friends. I knew I was going to do that.
I got to tell you, I'm ready to sing Reunited, and it feels so good, but I'm going to spare you all from that today. And we're going to introduce our last speaker, Tom Kucharski, as President and CEO of Invest Buffalo Niagara. Tom truly understands regional economic development and the value of the Canadian cross-border traffic. Interest in our region continues to grow, and Tom knows that when the border reopens, that interest will continue to peak. So Tom, if you'd share some thoughts with us today.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to be with you. When I played baseball in high school and college, I often batted in the 5 spot, so I'm happy to do so this morning. We've talked this morning, and rightfully so, about the tremendous impact that visitation, tourism, ecotourism, extended families, really an international community, and what we've been through over the last couple of years. I'm here to talk briefly about the business side of this, business formation, companies from Canada deciding to open up a facility here. Our companies in Western New York deciding to open up facilities in Canada, the collegialness that goes on between the two, how much international business from Europe, Asia, increasingly South America, is coming through Southern Ontario and the GTA to Buffalo. These are things that have been compromised over the last couple of years. And we've built a strategy with the help of Mark and the ECIDA and all of our economic partners and government officials in the 8-county region over the last several years before the pandemic, and since we started our campaign, have located over 100 Canadian expansions to Western New York, representing well over 1,500 good jobs, many of them in manufacturing here. Obviously, this has been a very challenging situation. We had a company come visit us 2 weeks ago from Vancouver, and it was a journey. It was a trek for them to get here and visit and make their way back. So we're celebrating the fact that it should be easier. Business formation is not any different than traveling across borders and getting to markets. It's all about risk, uncertainty, and we hope that as we go forward, some of these things get clarified so that we will continue to see the interest that we know we will get from Canada. 40% of the binational population of the two countries lives within a day's drive of our market. We're kind of the Midwest to the Northeast. Since March of last year, without the border being open, we had 43 expressions of interest from Canadian companies who are not going to make business decisions based on our drone camera or Google Earth. I mean, they've got to be here, they've got to be able to meet with folks, and it's international business, so you do business with people you trust. So we're hoping that bodes well for going forward. We know that from this day forward, our BD folks are going to be very active. We're already having companies lining up visits, so we hope to have some good close rates. But here's hoping going forward. I know with Governor Hochul, I've had a couple of conversations with her. She certainly appreciates the gravity of the situation and appreciate Congressman Higgins' efforts on our behalf. Future's really bright. Let's hope that it stays bright. Everybody get vaccinated and keep your masks on, and welcome Canadians back to Western New York. Thanks.
That, excuse me, will conclude our formal program. Thank you to all for being here today from the media. It is wonderful to stand in solidarity, welcoming all our Canadian friends back to Western New York. To the media, all of our speakers today will be available for interviews, personal individual questions right after this. We do want to take one moment to pose with the speakers before they disperse in front of the Buffalo Loves Canada flag in front of the podium. So if you would all join me. And
Don't drop it.